thank you for being here. I want to really thank everybody for being so brave to come out during COVID and risk your life to come learn from all these amazing women. But in the meantime, in case you don't know me, I'm Bev Mancuso, and now it's nice to know everybody here, so thank you. Do your little welcoming committee. First, I want to thank Rob for staying open and taking care of us tonight. Thank you, Rob. And also, the cupcakes up there were donated by KMC Cupcakes. I invited her to be here tonight. She couldn't be here, but she wanted to donate the cupcakes to thank everybody for everything they do. So I thought that was really huge of her, so show her some support. So now I'm going to turn it over to my favorite brother, Tommy, who oops, is that recorded? Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. And have him chat with you for a couple minutes, and thank you all again for being here. Tom is the president and CEO and head poobah of the Batavia Industrial Center, Mancuso Business Development Group. And I like to say, I saved my best boss for last, right here.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Bev for putting this together, because this stuff wouldn't happen, without her. And I know nobody came to listen to me tonight, so my comments are brief. I'd just like to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you, especially more, for thinking about starting and growing businesses in the Batavia area. And these are unique times, but there's opportunity in everything. And I'm interested to hear the lessons we're going to learn from the stories of the people who were nice enough to agree to share their stories with us tonight. I think it's some indication of the confidence and the optimism that people have, even in the face of adversity, that we've had 5 different women take advantage of our Women's Business Special that we run in October at Harvester to start or expand businesses. So I think that's a nice ray of sunshine in a cloudy month. So again, I just want to thank everybody, and really looking forward to hearing the stories. And I would hope that everybody walks away with with a new connection, somebody they met, or something they learned tonight. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Because we have such a small group, and almost everybody knows everybody but me, so if we just go around and start with Vicki, just say who you are, where you're from, so everybody knows who's here, because the networking that comes out of this is just really pretty priceless. So Vicki, take it away. And Batavia business.
I own a salon, Batavia Beauty, for 50 years.
My name is Gavin Towns, and I'm originally from Batavia, and I work with my family in real estate investment and property management.
Danielle Rosendo, I work for and run my family's business, Terry Hills Golf Course and Restaurant.
I'm Kelly March. I'm from Batavia. I work at the Richmond Memorial Library, and I have a small business called Genesee Cannabis Club.
I am Laura Smith. I'm from Virgin, and I run a small bakery called Gregory's.
I am Marie Bohn. I live locally in Batavia, and I'm a family pub. I'm Marcia Bohn, and I'm from Batavia, and I have a company called M Bookbinding.
Let me turn the camera on you and take your picture.
Hi there, Alicia Couch, Video News Service, and I've been in business doing video for Buffalo and Rochester TV stations for about 20 years, so I've been doing
And you were our presenter last year?
Yeah, I think it was last year. Yeah. Time flies.
I know it does. It does.
I'm Shelley Wolanske. I'm from Batavia. I own a company called Empire Hemp Company, and I run it with my boyfriend, Chris Mancuso.
I'm Kelly Birmingham. I'm representing the Genesee County Chamber of Commerce, and I don't own anything. I better get a business.
And I'm actually I live in Wyoming, so not too far from here.
Well, again, thank you everybody for being here. Housekeeping, if you need to use the recycle room, it's out that door, down the hall, over the river, through the woods. So, you know, you can get there, just saying.
Follow.
Yeah, follow the road. So, any questions before we kick it off? Okay, then we're going to start. We'll start with Cheryl.
Want me to stand up or
Yes.
just sit?
You know, I think standing might be a little better. Yeah. Cheryl Zinkievich, Renew Wellness Counseling, and we had a lovely chat a couple weeks ago, and I'm looking forward to hearing her share with you her story. So take it away. Thank you.
I made a couple notes for myself, but it's kind of awkward to like be looking, I'd rather look at you as people, so hopefully I won't probably have to look around too much, but at the same time, let me set my timer because I will ramble. So someone give me a sign when I'm at the 10-minute mark because I like to tell stories. And so yes, I just opened Renew Wellness Counseling in the building right next door here to the Harvester Center. I'm a therapist by trade. I have been for roughly 30 years. To back up a little bit though, I'll just give you a little background about me. I actually grew up in Perry. My parents had an automobile dealership. So I grew up in the business world, but in a very traditional, growing up in the 70s setting where women were wives and mothers and often silent partners in businesses. I found out years later just how involved my mother was in my parents' business, but back then I really didn't know to the extent to which she really was one of the backbones of my father's business. So I grew up in the 70s, like I said, very traditional. Women were wives and mothers, and I really just kind of, my goal was to be just that, to get married and have children. I didn't really think about, obviously never thought about owning a business. I thought about being a surgeon at one point. I went to my guidance counselor. I loved medicine, and I went to my guidance counselor in probably about 10th grade, 9th grade, and she kind of poo-pooed the idea and just said, "You mean like maybe a nurse?" And they just kind of like took the wind out of my sails, like, okay, maybe I was thinking too big. So I quickly just kind of like, all right, well, I'll get married and I'll have children. My mother didn't, my mother was super supportive of the idea. I had a boyfriend that I was pretty serious with and thought I was going to marry someday. But when I told her, I don't think I'm really going to go to college, she's like, go for 2 years. Just try it. Just try for 2 years, and if you don't like it, you can stop. But just try it. And so I went to a small 2-year school called Cazenovia College. It's now a 4-year university, but at the time it was a 2-year school where, little did I know, just prior to me going there, was actually an all-girls school. I didn't plan that one very well. So the majors there were equine studies, secretarial science, early elementary education, all very traditional women roles, and human services, which is what I decided to go for. So I got a 2-year degree in human services, and because I knew I wanted to help people. I was raised, like I said, very traditionally, and I knew that I wanted to help people, but I didn't know exactly what it would look like, so I thought that would be like a good start. So I got started with that and fell in love with going to school and education. And that was just kind of the start of, and I went for my bachelor's degree and eventually my master's degree. I wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to be a family therapist, child and family therapist. That was my goal. It kind of slowly evolved. I eventually did that. I worked in outpatient mental health clinics. I worked in hospitals. I worked in doctor's offices, always as a therapist of children and families. So as a therapist, I slowly developed myself as a therapist. But over the years, again, it's been kind of a long time, I developed kind of some parts of it that I didn't really like. I didn't like the focus on the numbers. I didn't like the focus on some things that just kind of felt like it was taking away from the spirit of the work that I signed up to do. So I decided after a bunch of years that I was going to be a supervisor and a manager, and I was going to take on students, and because I thought that would be an opportunity to like change the system a little bit. And I still bumped up against policies and things that just took away from kind of like what I enjoyed about the work. I couldn't be as creative as I wanted to be because I had to kind of follow the rules of what clinics kind of identified. So I slowly went into more leadership. I thought, well, then I'll be the administrator. You know, if I can't do it as a supervisor, I'll do it as a manager of a program. So I managed programs, still bumped up against things that just kind of got in my way of really living my practice the way I envisioned myself living it, whether it was, you know, regulations from the Office of Mental Health or chemical dependency or the institution that I was working for. So, you know, I had responsibilities as a wife and mother. I am a wife, I am a mother, so I had all those too while I was doing all of this. And so I kind of like wasn't really sure that I could take the leap of like going out on my own, because I was, you know, it's not safer being part of a larger institution, right? You get all the benefits, you get a paycheck every week that you just know is going to always be there for you, and so there's a certain security that comes in that. And as a mother, I wasn't sure I wanted to give that up. Like, you know, it's a big leap to kind of go out there on your own. My children are grown now and not as reliant on me, and I just was like, okay, I can't make the changes, I can't do the kind of work that I want to do in the settings to this point, so I'm going to go make my own. And Renew Wellness Counseling was born. It's in its early stages. Like I said, I opened in June. And my vision, you know, is a culmination of all of those years of the times that I had these creative ideas but couldn't do them because of all the rules, and because somebody else was telling me to do something different. And so I just am growing what I believe to be a real reflection of myself as a therapist, and that is the kind of care that I would want my friends and family to get. And so, yeah, so in June I called Jarrod from the Harvester Center, looked at some spaces, and the space that I'm at is in this building right next door. That was not yet available. It was about to be available, but I could see the possibilities. I could see myself there. I could see, you know, what I was envisioning there. Like, it was just a good fit. So I went in and started doing all the painting and everything. So yeah, let's see, what else? At first it's scary. It gets really scary. You don't have a paycheck coming in necessarily. Now, I did stay at the hospital initially. I came in slow. I worked at the hospital during the day, managing the program, and then I came here at night and I saw patients at night here. So that was my way of kind of slowly transitioning in. I wasn't sure if there was going to be any interest. Like, I just wasn't sure if it was even going to be, like, if there was a need. Like, I thought there was a need, but you just never know. You know, you have all those kind of doubts that kind of linger in your brain. And I'm a business person. I'm a therapist. Like, what do I know about business? You know, so I started slow, and I started doing some research. I was doing some work from home because of COVID, and I just did a lot of research on business because I just didn't know anything about business. I never took a business class in my life. I learned how to do a business plan. I didn't know how to do a business plan when I didn't know what it was, so I learned how to do it, and I slowly just kind of grew the idea that this. And my husband looked at me at one point, and I think it was when I signed the lease, actually, on May 1st. He's like, "This is really happening." And I'm like, "Yep, it's happening." And I really got phone calls very quick. And then within a couple months, I resigned from my position at the hospital. And I'm only here now at Renew Wellness and not working anywhere else. And it's incredibly liberating to like create something that's your own, that's a reflection of who you are as a person. It fits me, and it doesn't feel like I'm working. I'm just doing what I love, and it doesn't feel like work because it fits me. And I think that's like the biggest message is to like do what fits you, and then it doesn't feel like work. Then you just enjoy going to work every day. I love coming to work. I get to focus on the people that I work with. My advice: do a business plan, do your research, you know, make sure what you do is a reflection of who you are as a person, because when it feels like it's personal and it feels like it's about like a reflection of who you are, then it takes on a different energy. It's not work, it's truly bigger than that. And when the doubts come in, like, I don't know anything about business, then you do your research. Let's face it, we all have things that we don't know. That's okay. You just learn it. You know, I watched more YouTube videos than I probably have in my whole entire life. I reached out to every business person that was close to me and said, you know, does this sound crazy? Like, I'm going to do it this way. Does that make sense? What should I be thinking? So use your resources, do your research, but trust yourself. Like when those thoughts kind of come in your head, if there's some that are accurate, like that I don't know business or didn't, I do now a little bit, I still have a lot to learn, that's okay. Like just do your research, you can learn it. It doesn't have to be, get in the way, like walk through it by learning it and embrace it, have fun with it. I'm learning, like I had gotten to a point in my career when I had felt like I had learned everything there was to learn. Of course, that's not true. There was more I probably could have. But you know how like when you kind of feel like, okay, I've done this now I've done this, I've taught it, I felt kind of like, I had reached this point where I had to do something bigger than that and push through the doubt and utilize your resources. The power in this room right here, the energy in this room, I was thinking as I was preparing for this, I was just like, this is so cool and so exciting to have like all these women who are interested in business together. Like we can, support each other. I was even thinking like we should start like a little coffee hour maybe twice a month. We could meet here, utilize each other and support each other. So that's it. I got the 1 minute time, so.
One of the people that came to this event the first year we did it, and she's been here here. She is one of the 5 new women that signed this one.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can go here.
I'm the only one out here.
Thank you, Cheryl, very much. It was interesting. All right, we're going to move right in. Next is Marcia Bohn. Take it away, great.
I'm not going to flow as well as Cheryl did over here. I've got all of my notes and stuff, so bear with me. So my first question today was going to be, are you nervous? And the reason why I asked that is because I really am. And you can, I always look at nervousness as actually a good thing, because that means that you're in a space that is uncomfortable. And in that space, that's a growth period. Like, that's you putting yourself out there and trying something new, and that's what's going to teach you new things. So let's get uncomfortable. My name is Marcia Bohn. I'm a photographer here in Batavia. I specialize in families, but I do shoot newborns and senior portraits. I shoot anywhere from Batavia to Buffalo to Rochester. That's why it's kind of nice to live here, because even though it's 45 to 50 minutes one way, it's also the same the other. You get to do both of those cities and everywhere in between. So that's really nice to be locally here. So I grew up in Attica. My husband and I left and we moved to Arizona. He went to school. We then moved to Nashville. There he worked in studios and stuff. And then we ended up having our first child. I worked as a server at the time. I worked all the time. And then we had our second child. So that's when, I'm sorry, I'm like, it's a rough thing to talk about. But anyway, I am what you would call a mom-tographer. And what that means is my children are my why. My children are who inspired me to learn and practice and get better and do better. And because I wanted to document us together, our lives together, my children growing. But my second son, when I had him, it didn't go so well. I suffered some really bad postpartum depression, and I just needed to do something. Like I said, I had been working 40 plus hours every day, since I was a teenager, and I needed something. I needed to find my work. I needed to do something. I went from working all those hours for all those years to becoming a stay-at-home mom. And when I did some research, aside from like your hormones are going crazy, but one of the things I came across is that a major life change can trigger depression. So I had to look at my life. I had to like evaluate that, like what in my life has changed and shifted. And what it was is I went from working to having 2 children at home and not working. And that's a huge change for somebody who's been working for so long, all the time. And so I had to fill my brain. I had to fill my time. I did not want this to defeat me. I never do well on meds. So I just did a lot of research on how to heal myself. And for me, that was going to the computer, looking up this information, trying to figure out how to use my camera. I started with the manual. Then I would find myself at Barnes & Noble. I wish we had a bookstore in the area, but we don't. But I would sit there with a stack of books on my lap, and I'd let my kids play at the train table or listen to story time. I'd have a coffee in hand, and I would just sit through books. And then after that, I would, if I wasn't reading or watching YouTube videos, a million YouTube videos, then I was out practicing. I was out with my camera and my children at the playground, getting ice cream in a restaurant, giving them baths, playing in the sprinkler outside, nap time, like they're not moving, so it's kind of great. And they're not yelling and screaming at you, so that's like a perfect opportunity. So that's why they call me a mom-tographer, because my children are, you know, where I started. So eventually, me and my husband, my kids were 6 and 3, we decided it was time to move back to the area. We had to be around family. We had to raise our children around family. And in Tennessee, I had a few clients. Eventually I got bored with my kids. I didn't want to photograph them all the time. And I sort of felt bad for them because I was like photographing them when they were sleeping. So, I mean, come on, I needed to do something else. So I would then eventually go to my friends' kids and I would torture them, and it was a whole thing. And so I eventually built up sort of a small clientele, nothing super lucrative or anything like that. But I would, then my kids were 6 and 3. I think I battled depression for a good 2 years. It was really difficult. So then we eventually decided it's time to go home. We moved home here in Batavia. And that's when I was like, I really need to make a business out of this. You know, if I can do what I love, create those moments for families in the area as well, just like I do for my own children and my own family, and make money, why not? You know, why not? So we got settled here. I did a bunch of model calls, because you have to kind of learn your community. You can't just move to an area and expect people to come to you. Especially if you don't have a storefront or anything like that. You have to get out in your community and you have to meet new people and you have to sort of prove yourself almost anyway for what I'm doing. And then I would go to local businesses that kind of fit, you know, what I was doing, and I would work with them to collaborate and advertise with each other. I've shot charity events and stuff like that, and so just to get my name out there, that was the beginning. And then eventually it became a business. And so now here I am every year getting fuller and fuller and fuller, and it's really, really nice. So it's funny because Bev had asked me when she came in, are you busy right now? Yes, I am busy. Fall, everybody loves fall and their pumpkin spice lattes and all the things fall related. I'm very busy. But about November, when the weather shifts, that's when things start to kind of fall back a little bit, because nobody wants to go outside and have their photos done when it's 15 degrees out. I don't want to be out there either. And like little kids don't want to be out there. It's too cold. So right now, well, not yet, but it will be, is my downtime. It's my off season. And when I have my off season, I still shoot those charity events. I still take in model calls. I do my own personal projects. That keeps me busy. I take workshops because, let's face it, you never stop learning. Never stop learning. If you feel like you've learned it all, find something else to learn. Like Cheryl said, do something else, because there's so many opportunities in this world, so many things that you can learn. And maybe you don't think it directly applies to your business right away, but it might. You don't know. Try it out. If you like it, try it out. So that's what I do on my downtime. I'm basically preparing for next season. That is my downtime. Websites, all of that stuff. So my advice, owning your own business is not for the faint of heart. You all own businesses, you know this is true, right? Especially when you're first starting out. That first year sucks. It's so hard. People start businesses for different reasons, but every business ebbs and flows. If yours doesn't, there's something wrong. Something wrong. If you're waiting to start a business because you want your plan to be perfect, you want everything to be perfect, you might as well go out and get a day job because you're never going to open it. You're never going to open it. And I say that because nothing is perfect. I mean, look at Elon Musk. How many times did he land that SpaceX before it was right? Writers are told to write start to finish, write the whole thing out, and then go back through. Just so that you can get it all out on paper. You can get all of your ideas out, start to finish. That's what I did tonight. This thing is third draft. And it's still not perfect, you guys. I still feel like there's so many things that could be in here. So, like, know that you're going to make mistakes. There's going to be mistakes happen, but you're not going to know until you get into your business what's going to work and what isn't going to work. Something you think may work doesn't, right? Like, there are plenty of things. The space doesn't work correctly. You starting your new business, you don't know, like, is this space going to work out? Maybe, maybe not. But you don't know until you started. You've landed yourself in that spot, and you have to just kind of work it out. And enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. At the beginning, I failed so many times. So many times. I would go out there and I would shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and I couldn't figure it out. But when I did, it was like watching your kid ride a bike for the first time. You know, like that feeling of accomplishment. Or like when they walk for the first time. Like, you work so hard at this, and finally you get it. Or they get it. It's amazing. So for me, that's worth it. Let's see. Lastly, and it's so funny because me and my sister have the same answer for this, and I think this is super important. Surround yourself with supportive people. Because if you have somebody dragging you down, telling you you can't do it, you're not going to do it if you listen to them. You need to try it. You need to get out there. You need to have that person behind you 100%. If you mess up, that's okay. We all mess up. Babies mess up. We fall. Pick yourself up, get back out there, and start again. So along with my husband and, my sister Marcia is that person. She's always been there for me. She's always been super supportive. So much so that we have a studio space together. So she's going to tell you about her studio space. Well, it's two businesses, one space, but we both got together and we support each other. So, and what is this, three years later? So, yeah. But anyway, that's it.
Okay, great segue. Introducing the next presenter. Marcia, take it away.
I just want to introduce Marcia.
You did? Okay, well, thanks for making me teary-eyed before I got up there. No big deal. But it is really nice to be surrounded by a lot of females that have started their own business or in the beginning or have been there for a long time. It's so empowering, especially because October is Small Business Women's Month, it's Domestic Violence Month, it's like a lot of stuff for Women Month. So it's really cool. I also need something to write. I would probably look at this, but I make books, so that's probably a good thing I'm using it. So my name is Marcia Bohn, not to be confused with Marie, but it happens all the time. There's like 2-letter, we do all the time. Sometimes I'm on Facebook, I'm like, when did I post this? I'm like, oh, it's Marie. But so I'm the creator of M Bookbinding. So basically I'm going to tell you what I do and then go from there, tell you my journey. So what I do is I am a printmaker, I'm a paper maker, and I'm a bookbinder. So a lot of people don't know what printmaking is, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. So printmaking, and I could talk for hours literally about it, and I know I have like 10 minutes. But printmaking is the process of copying one image to another. So basically what happens is I work in lino cuts. It's like a pretty heavy linoleum, and I carve into them all sorts of artistic designs. Predominantly lately, I've been working in rubber blocks, which are a little bit easier to carve, but it's really wonderful because I get to create my artwork using these tools, and also I can create stationery with it, custom cards, all sorts of things. So that's been really helpful in my business. So the other thing is I make paper. And it is a very in-depth process. It's back-breaking labor. It is so much fun, and I could talk so much about that. But being a bookbinder and a printmaker, it's really great to make your own paper. Because sometimes you might have a print, and you want it a certain way, and I can't really go to Office Max and buy that. I'm sure everyone's like, why didn't you just go there and buy a ream of paper? It's so easy, time saver, right? But the purpose of my paper is I can custom make it. The best way to make paper is actually with dryer lint. I know it sounds crazy, but it's pretty much you beat it to a pulp, and there's a whole process to go through it, and you inevitably make paper. So that's what I use in my books and also with my prints. And then the other aspect of it is I make books. I make all sorts of books. I've made wedding albums, custom cookbooks for families during Christmas time, scrapbooks, artistic books. I've made, and a lot of journals too. I actually make my own creative journals, and I sell them as well. So really where it all started for me was in about 2008. I graduated from Buffalo State College with a bachelor's in fine art and printmaking. So now you guys all know what printmaking is, so you can be super cool if anyone's ever like, I'm a printmaker, I know what that is. So after I graduated, I kind of did a lot of odd jobs. We were in a recession, and a lot of the art jobs that I had hoped would be open were closed because of that. But it led me into kind of a different avenue and kind of on a journey of finding myself as an artist. So after that, I really dove into creating and experimenting. I made a lot of paper, like a ridiculous amount. To this day, I still have some. It's been a very long time since I graduated, but it's really wonderful. And after I've made things for family, for Christmas presents, birthdays, special occasions, anything, I was always creating. And one of the things that happened to me, which really helped boost my confidence, was after I graduated, one of my printmaking professors reached out, and he was like, you're really good at making paper. I need 400 pieces of white paper, which sounds, again, like, why don't you just go buy a ream of paper? But when you're a printmaker, paper is everything, and the texture, consistency, it really matters. So that was a really great confidence booster. And eventually my friends in the art world were like, why are you not doing shows in Buffalo? You live here, you love it, you should really do these shows. So I was like, okay, still nervous, needed a little bit more confidence. So I started with a Buffalo Small Press Book Fair. Naturally, it makes sense, right? And it was amazing. And unfortunately, they don't do that show anymore. But that show was printmakers from across America that came to Buffalo. And it was great because I really got great feedback from people purchasing my things and asking questions and, where can I buy your things? And, all these things. And what really gave me the confidence was the other artists that were there. They were like, you're so unique. Nobody else is doing this. Keep doing what you're doing. So through that, I really made some good connections and met some wonderful people who were very receptive and helped me out a lot. So after that, I kind of took a break because I was a teacher. I fell into teaching and an unconventional teacher of sorts, but I had 4 jobs. I was working 6 to 7 days a week. I did not have any time for my own artwork, unfortunately. So I really had to take a step back and kind of evaluate what I wanted to do. And I put my idea of starting my own small business on the shelf. And I was really miserable. I thought about it all the time, and I had all these ideas, and a lot of my friends were starting their own small businesses, and I bounced things off of them. They're like, what are you doing? Like, do it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm waiting for the right time, blah, blah, blah. So after all of that, I finally whittled it down to one daytime job, and then I do my artwork on the side and on the weekends. But I lived in Buffalo for about 12 years and decided to move home. And when I decided to move home, I was like, this is it. I'm going to get a studio space. I'm going to start it. And I actually talked to my sister-in-law, Marie, my sister. And I was like, hey, I'm thinking about this. And she's like, I know the place. You should go to the Harvester. Better yet, I'm thinking about doing the same thing. So what if we shared a space, and that way we could see how things go? And they've been going pretty good because we've been together for 3 years. It's been really wonderful, and it's great to always have your person to kind of bounce ideas off or ask like certain questions to, because she might know something that I don't know, and I might know something that she doesn't know, and she's right there. So it's great. And we can come down here and have coffee too. So it's always good. So we see each other a lot. We're around, and we can, we have this shared space, and we still love each other. So it's pretty cool. So initially, my dream for the studio, I really wanted it to be like a collective place where other artists could come. I wanted to teach children, private lessons, group lessons. The group lessons got put on hold because of COVID. I actually, the week before it really hit and everything shut down, I had like a bunch of kids coming in that Sunday, and I was like, I can't have you, I'm so sorry. So that's put on hold, but I still have a lot of people that are ready when I'm ready to reopen those doors for that. But it really has been a great space too to work collectively with other artists from Rochester and Buffalo. Like Marie said, we're in a really good position, right in the middle, to pull people from all these different avenues. I wasn't able to do shows this summer like I normally would because of that as well, but it kind of opened a new avenue, and I've sold, believe it or not, a lot of things on Instagram. People reach out through friends or like different settings, and they just reach out, email me, talk, and I am able to get their orders together, figure out what they want, what they're looking for, and then send them off. So it's actually pretty cool. So my last bit is just some information. You guys already have your own businesses, but it's always good to get, I guess, some different advice. If you're looking to start your own business, is do it. Because I think to me, the greatest fear was regret. And, thinking of putting that idea on the shelf was not okay with me. Like, I just thought about it, and I really had to do it. And I think that's the thing, as women especially, we're like, well, I'll wait till I do this. Or we put other people before ourselves so often that when we have these ideas, sometimes it's hard to convey them. And put yourself first and make those things happen. So that would be my advice. And then the last piece is kind of what Marie said too. Be mindful of who your tribe is. Who are those people that you're keeping around you? Are they saying, why are you doing that? You have a mortgage to pay. You have kids. You're thinking about that already. So you want to surround yourself with people that are going to be like, you know what, it's okay you fell down. I see you. If you need support, I'll be here. So that's it. Thank you.
She already has a lot of her stuff, but I feel like this microphone was for me, and I'm really like, I don't even know, I don't even want to stand by because I'm just like, hello. It's like so short. So my name, I have to go by the mic, okay, is Shelley Wolanske, and I'm co-owner of Empire Hemp Company. I own it with my boyfriend, Chris Van Dusen. And a lot of times when I say I own a hemp company, people think it's a store. They think I have like a CBD store. But we actually process hemp and we manufacture CBD products. You got it down. Okay. So a little backstory. I started off in the substance abuse prevention field. I had worked in the field for several years. I'd worked at Jacasa, worked at Roswell, I did reality check. That's how I met. Yeah, I think you look familiar to me too. And I had just got my master's and I was working at SUNY Geneseo. So I kind of got like, you know, my dream job. So meanwhile, my boyfriend owned a bicycle shop on Erie Canal, and we would go foraging for herbs, and I would grow herbs, and I would solar infuse different types of herbs. I did like calendula, yarrow, different just blends. So I would make salves for the cyclists, and I would make like room sprays and scrubs and all different types of, you know, concoctions. So it was 2017 and the hemp farm bill came out, and so hemp became legalized. And my boyfriend approached me with an idea. He said, I want to apply for a grower's permit through New York State, and I want to grow hemp, and I want to use your salves to put the CBD into. And I'm like, what is this, a pot thing? I mean, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, oh my God, what's this, a pot thing? Because I knew nothing about hemp. And we were always taught in prevention that hemp was the same as marijuana. So I really had to educate myself at that point because I was like, okay, we're gonna, you know, do this. So he and I started putting, we processed hemp down. At the time we had a little, it's called the magic butter machine. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but it was this little machine, and we would process our herbs and our hemp down, and we would make salves and tinctures, and they flew off the shelves at the bike shop. I mean, it was like crazy. I couldn't believe it. So at that point, we were approached by some investors who had tried our products and liked them, and they offered us an opportunity to become hemp processors and open a business, you know, together. So, but this meant going up to the next level, because like I said, we were making salves and tinctures, you know, out of his bike shop basically, under, you know, this, we did a research program, so we had to, you know, do certain things, you know, to follow the regulations and whatnot, but this was the next level. So we looked into purchasing a extractor machine, and Kelly has seen our extractor machine. She actually has 4 of our facilities. So it's the state-of-the-art CO2 extractor machine. So at this point, we did move over to Swan Street. We did look at a couple great spots. But we decided to move over to start a business at Swan Street. So we're actually at the Liberty Complex Center. It's kind of like where Ficarello's is at. There's 2 plazas. A lot of times people don't know where we're at, but we used to be where Jessica had CrossFit, the old CrossFit building. So we moved our machine into that, and we hired a couple guys. And so what we do is we work with local farmers and growers, and they bring their hemp to us. I mean, it literally comes like in these humongous bags. I mean, it reeks like pot in our facility. Like if you walk in, you're just like, oh my God, but it's really hemp. So farmers and growers also have to follow strict regulations. I mean, they get their, you know, plants tested periodically, and if it's over a certain amount, so in order to be considered hemp, it has to stay under 0.3 THC. So they get tested, we get tested. So they bring their bags into us. We then shred it. So we basically have this huge shredder, and we shred it down, and then we have to decarb it. So when you decarb hemp, hemp starts off, it has an acid form. So CBDA, THCA, it's all in an acid form. So it needs to be heated up so it can convert over to CBD and THC. There's other cannabinoids in hemp, but I won't get into them, but just stick with that. So in order for it to, that's why if you see people like smoking, they have to light it, they have to heat it up to convert it over to to get into their body, basically, I should say. So, sorry, I'm like, so after we decarb it, we process it. So we have this huge machine, and we pack these cylinders, and what this machine does, it's the cleanest process that's out there. It literally uses CO2, and it rises the temperature, and it takes all the wax and lipids out of the plant. So it's like when you see the spent material, it's like, it looks like it did before, but it's just kind of lighter. So then you get this clean, cannabinoid-rich oil. So then from there, we take the oil, and we have a couple different things that we do. We either make our own products that you guys have right with you. So we have a line of products ourselves, or we make products for the growers, or people come in and we white label for them. Or we sell it to different like entities. So we have one company we work with, it's called Silopose, and they take the CBD hemp and they actually use it for medical reasons. So they have these pads that they use medically for people that have like pains, and they have ones for like corns, and it's endless what they do a lot of different things. So they purchase our, hemp oil for their products. So we also do have a walk-up window, because what had happened was we were manufacturing, and people kept on saying, where can I get it in Batavia? And at that point, we didn't have any retailers in Batavia. I mean, a lot of our retail sites were between Hudson Valley and New York City. We had a person that was selling for us, and it became popular out in that region. So I talked to my boyfriend. I actually talked him into cutting this hole in the wall, because he wanted nothing to do with selling it. He just wanted to manufacture it. And this was before COVID, actually. So he cut the hole in, and he's like, "You're going to be responsible for this." I'm like, "Okay." He actually does it now, but so we started selling the products out of our facility, and people were coming, but the only problem is we're kind of like in a weird spot a little bit, and nobody really knows that we kind of sell the products, because that wasn't our original intention. And so now we've got signs, and we're trying to put stuff out there, because when COVID happened, it was perfect, because we have the plastic window and people come in, and a lot of people, depend on CBD oil. They use it for a lot of ailments. It heals them with anxiety. We have a lot of people that use it for pain. I mean, to sleep. It's beyond, CBD really helps with a lot of different things. So we make a topical, which the Bomb is our #1 selling topical. I feel like I'm like pushing my press. The Bombs and everything. We also have tinctures too. So we did have to let our guys go before COVID, or during COVID, I'm sorry. So it's just been Chris and I running the facility. And I mean, good point, bad point. It stinks that we had to let the guys go, but it gave me an opportunity to learn the machine. Like, I run the machine with my boyfriend now. Like, I didn't do that before. So, I got to learn how to run it, how to clean it. I mean, I'm decarbing. I really got to go in and, learn how to do all of these things that the guys were doing, because I would do more of the product, part of it and that. But, so I guess it's kind of like, what I kind of think of like owning a business is, we did not imagine the business to be like this. I mean, we literally thought we were going to be frolicking in the woods, and picking herbs, and, like, we're literally covered in hemp, and we like reek like pot, and we're like, so, but it's like, I believe in our products. I know, it's really happening. And I believe in our business, so that always keeps me going. Starting your own business tip: do not start a business with your boyfriend. But it's true though, like, if you start a business with somebody that you're related to, like, you guys get along great. I mean, but there is points when
We're still separate though.
You are still separate, right? Yeah, yeah. But we had to learn how to work together. together the first year, like, you know, when we were gonna open a business, everything was, oh, it's gonna be great, and it's not always great, you know, we had to learn what he was good at, what I was good at, we had to learn how to talk to each other without, like, taking it personally, and, you know, because we were, like, screaming at each other, but it's not like that anymore. Like, the first year, I can't remember who said, it's such a learning experience. I mean, I had to learn how to do bookkeeping and HR, and I had to learn all the FDA regulations and GMP regulations. I had to learn OSHA, and I had to, you know, it's just like all these things that in the first year, and you're like so nervous because you're like, what am I doing? Is this gonna, you know, but plus with hemp, it has such a stigma around it. You know, it was like we had to educate people also on top of it, which is changing, but that's an important part of, you know, our business as well. But so what keeps me going is this, like, we had a guy come in today and he has some issues, you know, he has post-traumatic stress disorder, and it helps him, you know, it's just like, oh my God, just keeps us going, like, because it's a tough time right now, you know, so I get emotional when I think about it. But we have people that come in, they have cancer, and so it's, you know, but I didn't go past the 10 minutes. I feel like I'm gonna be like, oh my God, we're just help. But so that keeps us going. It really does, you know, because we had, like I said, we didn't let the guys go and stuff like that. But you know, we're gonna get through it, and you know, everybody's going through a tough time right now. So, and I think that's about it. So.
You guys did great. Thanks. Very good. Anybody have any questions? Q&A, feedback, thoughts, burning questions?
I have a question.
Come on, you just talk.
Me being emotional going to be on the video thing?
But you know, again, I think everybody in this room gets it.
It's your life.
They do
okay, good.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about making sure what you're doing is meaningful to you. And like that's what makes the difference. Right. If it's meaningful to you, then it takes on a different kind of life.
Yeah.
Different purpose.
Yeah,
And
because
that's what that is. You know?
Yeah.
I forget one of you guys I talked with, and I apologize, I can't remember who. I can't remember. I think it was you yesterday. When I was asking people to speak, you know, like last year, one of the people that spoke said, I don't think of myself as a woman in business. Like, what do you think you are? It's like, I mean, people don't think, they just put their head down, they go, they want to do this, this is who they are, it's what they do. It's not something. So I think, yeah, if you didn't feel like that, something would be wrong.
And I feel like it's so part of our life and so ingrained. I'm sure like everybody else that spoke, it's part of your, it doesn't end at 5, you know, it continues on, you know.
You know? And then let's talk about Alicia, who's like on 24/7.
Oh, I know.
She's never off, so, yeah.
This has definitely been an interesting time since March 7th. I have not changed that date on my calendar because that's when everything changed. I covered 8 stories that day, and then everything changed. It's been interesting.
But you know, I mean, I think the one thing everybody has in common, everybody just rolled with it. We've done what we had to do, because what else is there? You don't really have any other alternative. You just have to find a way to get through it or around it or over or under it. It'll keep changing, and that's the way it is, right? More questions?
You ladies have business cards that the ladies have handed out?
For Instagram.
My camera bag, but I just put it there the other day.
So what I'm going to do, because you guys know, I have everybody's email.
Okay.
I will share everybody's email. I'll cross-contaminate each other. You know, through the internet, not through you know, but, you know, there has been discussion over the years about trying to get a group together. You guys are more than welcome to do that. We have a great place to meet, and I want to thank Rob again. Rob,
Thanks, Rob. Great smoothies.
and I want to thank everybody else for being here tonight, for taking part, and for being a woman in small business, or being a woman in general, because it ain't no fun a lot of times, but it is what it is.
We gotta get a business.
Yeah. Yeah, sure we can talk about it. All right.
And thanks for bringing us together.
Well,
I don't think
thank you.
we would have probably gotten to do this.
Yes,
without
there's a lot of networking, there's a lot more women businesses in the industrial center now that we're gonna try and keep connected together, but it was this guy's idea 3 years ago. So, we keep building on it, and thank you for making it happen. So, thank you again, everybody, for coming. Stay safe, take cupcakes because they are for us, and eat them. Hold them. Don't. But take them. Okay. Just give me a lemon copy, that's all I ask, all right? But everybody, thank you for coming. Take the time to meet you, or hopefully next year you'll be working for us, so. All right, great.
Thank you all very much.